Son of a Night Fury. Written by Dragonfan 101. Chapter 8. Flying Lessons. After Hiccup had finished forging a replacement tail fin that could work to help Toothless fly, he made sure that he didn't miss an important piece of it. While he still has many questions on how Spike ended up with him or what their lives were like, he needs to try and help them after the situation he got them into. Hiccup got up earlier than usual to gather a supply of food and head towards the grove Spike and Toothless were currently in right now. He made sure to bring some spare fish for them like Spike suggested, and if he allows it, he could hopefully help attach this new piece to Toothless to try and get things started. Hiccup made his way back to the grove pretty early, even before he and the others had to do more dragon training again, but soon enough, he made it to the place where they were just getting up after a long night. "Hey Toothless, Spike," Hiccup announced as he walked towards them, who were surprised seeing him here this early. "Early morning for you, huh? What are you carrying?" Spike asked, noticing he's carrying a barrel as well as something new that looked handmade. "This is breakfast for you guys, hope you're hungry," Hiccup said before he pushed over all the fish on the floor, making Toothless perk up at the amount while Spike felt glad seeing all of it. "Really took in my suggestion. Thanks. It's been pretty tough finding enough food for the both of us lately." Spike thanked as he picked up a sharp stick like a spear and stabbed them through a few of them for his own meal. He used his fire and roasted them in just a minute. That made them far more delicious for him, and Hiccup took another note seeing how Spike likes to eat fish. "Yeah, well, I thought you could use it. I've got some salmon, some nice Icelandic cod, and a whole smoked eel," Hiccup listed out, which made the two dragons look extremely disgusted. "Wait. An eel?" Spike asked with fear while Toothless looked very terrified and was about to go crazy once Hiccup pulled out the eel in the pile. No. It's okay guys. I don't really like eel much either," Hiccup said as he tossed the thing far away that calmed the two of them down. "You may not like it, Hiccup, but for us, that thing can get dragons very sick if they eat it. My dad accidentally ate one when we were fishing one time. After that, he could not fly steadily at all for a while, and that's just the simple way to put it," Spike said with fear at the memory, which made Toothless almost gag at the thought of it. "Please don't remind me of that, Spike. I've barely even had a few fish to eat," Toothless said to him while he finally took some to avoid thinking of it. Hiccup took closer examinations on how Spike is able to talk with Toothless. While he sort of gets what Toothless is saying, Spike clearly understands it fully, which makes sense even if he can talk, so you can fully understand him. "Whenever he talks it sounds like how I'm saying things right now?" Hiccup questioned, since Spike's just as interesting as Toothless is here. "Yeah, you get used to it after a while. He had to get used to me talking like you after a few months when I was a kid, but once he got used to it, it isn't so weird," Spike said as Hiccup was trying to sneak behind Toothless to try and attach this tail he made. "That's really interesting. Makes me wonder what all the other dragons sound like, right?" Hiccup asked while Spike noticed what he was trying to do. "Yeah, I'd prefer not to think over it," Spike replied while he looked back at Toothless, who was still distracted with the fish, giving Spike a chance to get behind him too after seeing what he has in his arms. "Hiccup, what exactly is that you're carrying?" Spike whispered as Hiccup crouched down near the tail fin. "Something I made that could help your dad fly again. I've only just made it, so it'll need more tweaks and adjustments, but if you allow me to try and attach it, it may be our first step at helping him fly," Hiccup replied, making Spike's eyes widen in surprise. As Hiccup spread the thing out, it was exactly the same type of design of his dad's tail, and Spike did get more hopeful seeing it. "You sure this thing might help him?" Spike asked again as Hiccup tried to keep Toothless's tail in a steady position. "We won't know until we try, but I need you to trust me for this, please," Hiccup begged, which made Spike look concerned. Even if they just met him recently, his dad did seem to trust him, and as he looked at his father's missing tail, he knew this may be the only way to help him, and after a few seconds, Spike looked back at Hiccup and gave a respectful nod, making Hiccup smile gratefully. "Thanks, Spike. Now, let's see if this works," Hiccup prayed while Spike helped keep the tail still, and as Toothless kept on eating the fish. Once Hiccup fully attached the thing around his tail, it stopped all he was doing. He moved his other tail fin around a little and felt something was next to it, and he looked completely shocked at what it means. Spike helped Hiccup with the last of the adjustments before he spread it out, and it looked like it could work. "Okay, maybe this will work," Spike said with a hopeful look as he got off of them and tried seeing it in full, neither of them noticing Toothless was spreading his wings as far as they could go. "Maybe if we can convince your dad, this should be able to," Hiccup said right before Toothless suddenly jumped in the air and tried flying around while Hiccup screamed from hanging onto his tail for dear life. "Whoa!" Spike shouted with surprise before he quickly spread his wings and tried flying after them. "Guys, watch out!" Spike screamed while Hiccup saw they were heading straight for a wall after the tail fin lost its balance, but Hiccup tried to adjust the thing, which helped Toothless take off higher into the skies and even out of the grove for the first time in days. Oh my. It's working. Hiccup cheered while Spike was really amazed with what's happening before him. It is. My dad's finally flying again. Yeah. Spike cheered while Toothless flew back down to the grove and over the water in a steady position, which was amazing to see for both of them. Yes, I did it. Hiccup said with joy while Spike flew over him and gave him a high five as thanks. You really did. Thank you. Spike said with a look of relief before Toothless felt something on his tail and suddenly threw Hiccup off of it and far into the water as he screamed from the speed he went, and that made his replacement tail lose its balance again, and he soon fell into the water too while Spike did a skillful dive into it. They all soon came out of the water and laughed with amazement after what just happened. Yeah. Spike and Hiccup shouted at once, feeling amazed that it's working. Even if they've got a ways to go, this was still a great start. After that first test, Hiccup needed to quickly make his way back to his village for another training lesson. Spike said he'll make sure nothing happens to the tailfin while he's gone to try and figure out how to help more. He was becoming more open to letting Hiccup help them out, and that's a great thing for him since it'll give him a chance to get along with Hector more. Hiccup soon made his way back home and met up with the others for training again, and for today they were going to be facing against the hideous Ickleback, a dragon which will be far tougher than the Grankle, and as Hiccup and the other students stood within the ring, Godber was a good distance away to watch it happen. Today is about teamwork. Godber announced as the doors to the Zittlebit's cage burst open, and smoke begins to cover over the whole arena that makes things harder for them to see. Now a wet dragon head can't light its fire. The hideous Ickleback is extra tricky. One head breathes gas, and the other head lights it. Your job is to know which is which. Godber instructed as Hiccup and the kids were divided into groups, and for him, he got paired up with Fishlegs while Snotlett was with Toffent, and Ruffent was with Astrid. Everyone could hear the creatures growl around them, and they held buckets of water in their arms to be ready to put out the sparks from the right head while Fishlegs listed out its dangerous features. Razor-sharp serrated teeth that inject venom for predigestion, prefers its ambush attack by crushing its victims. Fishlegs said before Hiccup stopped him from making too much noise. I already read about it in the book, so can you please stop that? Hiccup whispered with frustration, which made Fishlegs be quiet as the other kids were looking around for any signs of it. If that dragon shows either of its faces all. Snotlett said just until he and Toffent saw what looked like two dragon heads. There. Toffent shouted, making them throw the buckets of water on them, only for two screams to be heard as the smoke dies down, and the figures are revealed to be Astrid and Ruffent, who were very annoyed with them. Hey! It's a Setiets. Ruffent said with anger on what they just did. Your boats are getting bigger, we thought you were a dragon. Toffent joked, making Snotlett chuckle a bit hearing that. Not that there's anything wrong with the dragon's figure, oh. Snotlett screamed as Astrid punched him in the face for saying that, and Ruffent threw the bucket she had at him, making him fall in the ground, but Toffent suddenly was dragged into the smoke and screamed with fear, catching everyone off guard. Wait. Astrid whispered as they heard Toffent screaming even more before Tail suddenly sweeps them off their legs, and Toffent barely makes it out of there and runs away with fear. Oh. I am hurt. I am very much hurt. Toffent screamed while he ran past Hiccup and Fishlegs, who were the only ones left now. Chances of survival are dwindling into single digits now. Fishlegs said with fear until they finally saw one of the long dragon heads emerge from the smokeless snarls, seeing them. Whoa. Fishlegs said with fear as the head moves over to them in the air, and while he tried splashing water on its head, it didn't work at all since it was the head that breathed gas. Oh. Wrong head. Fishlegs said nervously before the dragon blasted him with the gas and made him run away with terror. Fishlegs. Godber screamed as Fishlegs ran away, leaving Hiccup alone, and soon the other head emerged too, which was able to light sparks like Godber said. Now Hiccup. Godber encouraged, making Hiccup try to throw the water on it, but the head was too high for him to hit, and the water was wasted, leaving him helpless again. Oh, come on. Hiccup said with fear before the dragon snarled at him even more and was being towered over by it. Hiccup. Godber screamed with fear while Hiccup tried getting up and getting an idea from something he got with what he went through yesterday. He tried to use his hands to push them back like he was trying to tame them, and thankfully, since they didn't trust him one bit, it only made them back up with each attempt. Back. Back. Don't make me tell you again. Hiccup warned while he was backing them up into their cage, shocking literally everyone who was seeing it. Yes, that's right, back in your cage. Now think about what you've done. Hiccup said as he pulled out the eel he had earlier, knowing that dragons can't stand it. He threw it into the cage, making the Zittlebit back up to a corner while looking terrified, and Hiccup soon closed the gates and shut it to finish things up. Hiccup soon locked the thing down and gulped a bit before he turned around to see everyone looking at him with looks of disbelief, even making Fishlegs drop one of the buckets he hit from shock. Okay, so are we done? Because I got some things I need to Yep. I'll see you tomorrow. Hiccup shouted as he ran off to get to work on something else while everyone didn't say a thing as he left. Hiccup spent the rest of the day working on something new within his home again. After working out its design and making sure it's big enough for him, Hiccup soon went back to the grove to Spike and Toothless. A saddle? How's that supposed to help? Spike asked with surprise as Hiccup held the thing out in the air. Well, if we're gonna help get Toothless flying again, he's gonna need some help. Hiccup said confidently as he looked at Toothless, who suddenly began running around not wanting it to be put on. Hey! Hiccup shouted as he chased after him while Spike simply watched and ate some fish during the time it happened. Hiccup soon managed to get the saddle onto Toothless to help him fly. They tried to fly over the lake again to test things out while Spike flew nearby. Hiccup was currently on a saddle and was holding the rope to try and adjust the tail, but once he pulled it, that accidentally made them both spiral out of control and crash into the ground, making them scream as a result, and Spike unfortunately got pinned down by Toothless from the landing. Ugh. This is gonna take a while. Spike groaned while he waited for Toothless to get off of him. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Hiccup had spent multiple days trying to make the adjustments right. He next had to make a harness to help keep him attached so it doesn't fall. And as we cut to another day where they try to work on their flying, Hiccup is struggling to hold on still since it's too much for his leg to keep the tail adjusted, and like before, it only resulted in him crashing on the ground again near a field of grass. Spike quickly got up and met up with Hiccup, who had just got up, both of them not being able to see Toothless anywhere. Dad? Where are you? Spike asked with concern as they moved through the tall grass, but as they hear a playful growl nearby, they come out of it and see Toothless was on his back and scratching his back with the grass, really feeling delight from the feeling they gave off, and Spike could only chuckle at that since he's loved doing this before. And Hiccup got an idea on how to handle the next lesson because of that. He managed to pick a few pieces of it, as we cut to the next training lesson where everyone else was struggling with the Grankle again. Once the Grankle tried attacking Hiccup again, he used the grass to help make it faint from delight, which was amazing even more people who were watching it happen. Hiccup was heading back to the halls with the other students who were all amazed with what happened, never having seen something like it before. Hiccup, how did you do that? Fischlks asked with surprise while he felt a bit overwhelmed with the attention he had. I've never seen a Grankle do that. Snotlet asked as well while Hiccup started backing up. I left my axe back in the ring. You guys go on ahead, I'll catch up with you. Hiccup shouted while he ran off again to meet up with Spike and Toothless again. The next time he met up with them, they were all getting along a lot better than before. Spike was really starting to like having another person to talk to and get to know more. Toothless even going so far as to let him playfully give him scratches, which dragons like him really loved. Spike could only smile as his dad really enjoyed it, and getting an idea, he lightly tapped Hiccup's shoulder to tell him something. Try going under the neck, they really love that. Spike advised, which Hiccup listened to. He soon put his hand under Toothless's neck and scratched him there, which made Toothless fall onto the ground from surprise, followed up by him looking extremely happy from the feeling of it. It's the most he's ever heard Toothless purr before, and Hiccup got an idea on how to use that for his next match. Hiccup soon was within the ring again with another lesson against the deadly Netter. Astrid tried throwing her axe at it, which made it smash it away with its head, and the Netter charged at the both of them, making Astrid roll out the way, leaving it to face Hiccup again. But with what he advised he got from Spike earlier, he gave the Netter a quick scratch on its neck before going under it like before, just before Astrid attacked it again, making it faint from the feeling, leaving everyone in disbelief even more with how he's able to do it. Hiccup was gaining even more attention within the village with each lesson he kept passing. Even in the dining halls, multiple Vikings and the other students began joining up with him to talk, leaving Astrid more frustrated and jealous. And to add on to what he's been learning over time, Hiccup was able to use the light reflected off his axe as a light for Toothless to chase. Spike could only laugh at the sight of it while he stood by Hiccup, who was having just as much fun as well. This is just like how me and Dad did this back home, Spike said with a smile while he patted Hiccup on the back, who was really getting used to Spike talking just like he said. This is honestly really fun too. I haven't been able to do something like this at all. I'm really glad that we've gotten this time to get along, Spike. Hiccup replied, since the three of them were growing even closer by the day. I'm glad for it too, Hiccup. Now, try doing it with me, Spike said playfully while he got on all fours like his dad, and Hiccup smiled at that and reflected the light in front of him, making Spike playfully chase it with his dad to have an even better time, making Hiccup laugh even more. And as Hiccup went into the ring the next day with the other students, he had an idea on how to use this to win, and he braced himself for the next dragon they were facing. Meet the Terrible Terror, Godber announced as the gate opened up, only for them to see a small yet cute-looking dragon that didn't look too vicious at all. Huh. It's like the size of my, Tuffin said before the thing suddenly lunged at him, making the audience cheers. The thing actually was pretty vicious. Oh, get it off. Get it off. Tuffin screamed as it was biting at his nose, but it soon noticed a light on the ground that got its attention, and it finally got off of Tuffin to chase after it like with what happened before. Oh, I am hurt. I am very much hurt. Tuffin shouted again while they all watched Hiccup use his shield to lure the terror back to its cage. Wow, he's better than you ever were, Tuffin said with an impressed look while he held his nose, and Hiccup soon lured it back in and looked at them with a proud look, angering Astrid even more. She was getting so frustrated at this point, she had to go out to the forest to throw her axe at the trees to blow off steam, but while she threw it at multiple axes during the process, she suddenly encountered Hiccup, who was carrying something through the forest. Before she could even ask, Hiccup managed to run off without her finding out anything, making her more frustrated and suspicious on what he's doing. Hiccup soon managed to make a complex device that would try to help Hiccup adjust the tail with his leg without risking him falling off. Spike helped make the last of the adjustments before they tried going out a bit to test it out. Spike flew alongside Toothless again while Hiccup was on his back. He was using the high wind of the area they're in while they're keeping the rope attached to keep them from being blown away. Hiccup adjusted the tail to help Toothless land down without any problems so far, and Hiccup made sure to make a sheet of the different positions he needed to use to help them fly. After a few more seconds, they tried to do it again, but the wind was far too strong and made the rope snap from how heavy Toothless was, and they ended up being blown back far away into the forest nearby. Guys, are you alright? Spike asked with worry while he landed down nearby and tried helping them up. I'm fine, Spike, it was just, Hiccup said before he upped a bit from being pulled suddenly by Toothless, and looking at the harness, they saw the thing was tied up and couldn't be undone with what they currently have. Oh. Great. Hiccup said with annoyance while Spike groaned, realizing what they need to do. We cut to the village when it was really late at night. Hiccup had to sneak Toothless and Spike through the place so they could get the right tools to fix things. Hiccup, a villager said respectfully while Hiccup stayed in a corner. He carefully helped Spike and Toothless move through the place without being seen. Spike stayed under Toothless's wind to blend in with his scales, making him hard to see in the night. And as they reached a small forge with the right tools they need, Spike noticed Toothless was trying to eat a few spare fish that was lying around. Dad, don't. This isn't the time for that, Spike whispered as Toothless ate the one he saw in front of them. What? Mackerel's my favorite fish, Toothless said in defense, making Hiccup shush them both to keep quiet. Quiet you two, now let's see here, Hiccup whispered as he took out a tool to remove it, but unfortunately, they started to hear another voice that Hiccup recognized just outside. Hiccup, are you in there? Astrid asked, which made Spike crouch down behind Toothless while Hiccup jumped out in front to keep them from being exposed, and that was hard since he was still stuck to Toothless right now. Oh, Astrid, hey. Hi Astrid. Hi Astrid, Hiccup said nervously while Spike and Toothless tried being as quiet as they could, but they saw a sheep nearby had noticed them and Spike motioned it to be quiet with his finger. He was very tense right now, and they could hear Astrid complaining to Hiccup about stuff they aren't aware of currently. I normally don't care what people do, but you've been acting weird, Hiccup, Astrid accused while Hiccup felt himself being pulled back a bit by Toothless, and Spike tried to carefully grab the tool Hiccup was using to free them for later. Well, weirder than you normally are, Astrid complained even more before she noticed Hiccup was being pulled by something, and he suddenly yelped before something pulled him into the forge. Astrid tried finding out where he went, but didn't find anything. Not noticing in the distance behind her, Hiccup quickly got on Toothless, who took off in the air with Spike to escape, and thankfully while they managed to escape without being seen, they were also able to get Hiccup and Toothless separated again after a while of trial and error. And as the next day came, Stoic had finally managed to come back after a really awful event with a voyage. Only the ship he was on was the only one left. Even then it was barely staying together. They lost some lives because of it too, and he was left frustrated and upset as they finally made it back to Berk where Godber was waiting. Well, I suppose you found the nest at least, Godber asked hopefully while they were all getting out of the ship. Not even close, Stoic replied with annoyance while he marched through the docks. Oh, excellent, Godber said with a regretful look from hearing the news. I hope you had a little more success than me, Stoic asked while he carried the supplies he took with him, and Godber was pretty happy to report that was the case. Well, if by success, you mean that your parenting troubles are over the... Yes, Godber answered, which confused him for a moment before multiple villagers came out to congratulate him. Congratulations, Stoic. Everyone is so relieved, one of them said as they ran past him to do something important. Out with the old, and in with a new, right? Another asked excitedly, moving past him too. No one will miss the nuisance, another continued, confusing Stoic even more. The villagers throwing a party to celebrate. One more shouted while multiple villagers cheered with what's been happening, and Stoic looked towards Gutter with a confused look. He's gone? Stoic asked, noticing he isn't here. Yeah. Most afternoons, but can you blame him? The life of a celebrity is very rough. He can barely walk through the village without being swarmed by his new fans. Godber explained, which surprised him. Hiccup? Stoic asked with surprise, while Godber was just as impressed. Who would have thought it right? He has this way with the beasts. Godber said proudly, while Stoic needed time to process what he's heard. And for where Hiccup currently was, he, Toothless and Spike were all going out for a flight together to test things out. They had almost gotten the hang of this with Eector, and this was the last test they needed to see things through. Okay there guys, we're gonna take this nice and slow. Hiccup shouted while they flew high above Burke. I'll make sure to help if something goes wrong. You ready for this? Spike asked while keeping a steady pace with his flying. You bet. Let's do this, alright. Position. 3, no 4. Hiccup announced before he adjusted Toothless's tail again, and he managed to have Toothless make a good turn across the skies together. Feeling confident with the results so far, they decided to take this a step further. Okay, it's go time. Hiccup told himself before he held on tightly as Toothless started diving down at fast speeds, with Spike following closely behind, feeling amazed with the speed and wind going by him. They could hear Toothless roar as he started flying nearby the sea surrounding the island, even brushing his wings across the waves. Come on buddy, come on buddy. Hiccup encouraged as they flew around large rocks and parts of the island, and could only start getting faster from it. Come on, we can do this. Spike encouraged too while he flew nearby as they saw seagulls overhead as they flew through the place, but since Hiccup got distracted, it made Toothless accidentally slam on one of the walls from lack of control. Sorry. Hiccup apologized before he tried adjusting again, making them crash into another wall because of it. That was my fault. Hiccup said shamefully before Spike whacked his head a bit to make him focus. Try not to get distracted with this, alright? Spike shouted with an upset look, making Hiccup get to it quickly. Yeah, Spike, I got it. Hiccup shouted before he looked at his sheet again to try things differently. Alright, let's do position 3. Hiccup said as Toothless and Spike looked up and began flying very high into the sky, even going beyond the mountain on it, which made it even more exciting. Yeah. Go baby. Hiccup cheered while Spike laughed with amazement as he flew around them in circles at fast speeds. I wish I could have done this sooner. This is so amazing. Spike shouted with joy as he spread out his arms to feel the wind brush by him. I couldn't agree more on that. This unlike anything I've felt before. The wind in my... Hiccup cheered before he suddenly noticed his sheet detached from the saddle, making him freak out while it almost flew away. Cheat sheet. Stop. Hiccup screamed as he tried to grab it, but that ended up detaching him from the saddle too, making them both begin to fall while screaming with terror. No 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 no. Spike shouted with fear as he quickly dove down to catch up with them. They were falling faster and faster by the second, and Toothless couldn't even angle himself right from lack of control. Toothless, hang on. You've just gotta angle yourself right. Try getting closer to me. Hiccup shouted at him, who tried to adjust himself. Spike flew right by Hiccup and grabbed his arms to help save him, but also tried helping him get back on Toothless to avoid a fatal fall. It's now or never, Hiccup. Please let this work. Spike prayed while Toothless finally adjusted himself enough for Spike to help put Hiccup back on his back, and Hiccup quickly attached his harness on him to avoid that from happening again, but he didn't have time to process this since his sheet was in his mouth. But not even that stopped him from screaming as they began flying far down over the trees without signs of slowing down. Hiccup could see they were heading straight for large rocks if they don't get out of this soon, and deciding he didn't need it, Hiccup threw away the sheet he had and used his device to adjust the tail to help Toothless fly around it. Spike was flying just behind them and avoiding any obstacle that came in his way. He even ran across one of the walls and jumped off it to keep up with them with how fast they're going. Their fears soon turned to amazement and joy since they were flying through and around the rocks and obstacles without crashing into them, soon coming to the point they've finally gotten full control of flying together, and after finally making it out into the clear areas around them, they felt pure joy and excitement from pushing through it. We did it. We did it. Spike cheered while he gave Hiccup another high five while he looked just as amazed too. Yeah. Hiccup cheered too as they flew across the seas. Even Toothless cheered from it too by shooting out a plasma blast which exploded in the distance, making Hiccup brace himself for it. Oh come on. Hiccup complained before they flew through the blast, and we cut to them at a later time of the day after that long flight, feeling extremely great from being able to pull through all of that. They were all having dinner again after such a long day, and as the sun was setting again, Spike and Hiccup sat nearby Toothless with cooked fish to eat while Toothless was having his own for dinner too. Spike sighed with relief and took another bite of his fish, and couldn't be happier for what happened today. That was really amazing. I never thought me and my dad would have been able to fly with someone like you before all of this happened. Spike complimented while Hiccup looked at him with some surprise too. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But now that we've gotten things right, Toothless will be able to fly again. Sure, I may often be the one needing to help, but you'll be able to help him fly too when I can, right? Hiccup asked while Spike rubbed his dad's head hearing it. I'll definitely have to now, but I'm just glad Dad can finally fly again. Me and him were only out flying for a day before that incident in the village happened. It was the first real time I got to fly myself too, and flying alongside him was the best thing I experienced in my life. When I fly, I just feel free, like I can go anywhere I want, and with my dad. That's all I could ever want. Spike said with a smile while he looked at the sunset in front of them. Hiccup could understand that. He felt like that when they took this test together, and with the moment he had now, he wanted to know a bit more about him. So Spike, hope you don't mind me asking, but what exactly was your life like with Toothless? You were raised by him, right? Hiccup asked while he looked at Toothless, who didn't seem to mind Hiccup being told it, and Spike made sure to explain it the best he could with the memories they had. Well, to put it simply, it was great. My dad found me as an egg within a cave, on a faraway island from this place. He himself was looking for a home to stay since he's been on his own for years. After I hatched the next day, we spent years there together, bonding and growing closer with each other as father and son. I still question on who my real parents are, or if my mother or father are even alive. But with the years I've spent with Toothless, I've loved every second of it, and once I was ready to go, we left that island to see the world, and to try and find a new home for us. Even if it was dangerous, and pretty sad leaving a home we've been in for so long, we've been holding out hope that we'll find one that's even better for us, right Dad? Spike asked with a smile while scratching Toothless's chin. Couldn't have said it better myself, son. Toothless said to him, making Spike smile back, and Hiccup was left fascinated hearing it. Well, I'm glad you and your dad always got along when he raised you. I didn't have that, to say the least. With how different I was from the other Vikings, I was often looked down on, even being seen as a disappointment by my own father, and no matter how many times I tried to help, I only made things worse. I wanted to be a Viking so bad, but I never really felt like it's what I really wanted. Hiccup said sadly, making Spike feel bad for hearing it. I'm sorry about that, Hiccup. But maybe with what you know now, maybe it could be a chance to help change the Vikings' minds about us. We're not just mindless beasts. Dad and I never wanted to attack the village at all. I was just trying to get Dad out of there after something made him attack it. I don't know what it was, but it's worried me for a while. I'm sure there's something similar to why the dragons are attacking. You think that could even happen? Spike questioned, which surprised Hiccup a bit, but after thinking over it, it could be possible. Maybe. I don't know yet. Let's just try and keep this a secret for now, okay? Hiccup asked hopefully, which Spike nodded in agreement from. And as they kept eating, they could hear the screeches of terrible terrors coming towards them. A small group of them landed nearby and started walking to them to try and get a little food. Spike was more open to it, while Toothless growled in a threatening tone to keep his food to himself. One of the terrors managed to snatch one of the fish and to try and eat it, while another tried to get it. The terror roared back and shot a small blast of fire at it to make it back off, but that didn't stop Toothless from noticing one of the fish was being dragged away by another one, and he quickly snatched it up from the terror and ate it whole before laughing mockingly at it. That made the little dragon angry seeing it, but before it tried shooting fire, Toothless instantly shot a small blast into its mouth, which made the fire explode from the inside, and Spike did not like the sight of it. Dad, do not do that. You know what will happen to them if the reaction's too big. Spike warned while he carefully helped the terror recover, while he looked really sad, and seeing that made Hiccup feel bad for them. Guess you guys aren't so fireproof on the inside, are you? Here y'all go. Hiccup said as he tossed the little guy a fish, and he happily took it and felt really grateful for it. He even crawled up near Hiccup's leg and curled around it to sleep, and Spike also looked at the other ones and got the same idea. You all deserve a little meal, help yourselves guys. Spike said with a smile while he tossed each of them some fish, and they each took up the ones they were given, feeling really happy and grateful towards them. The remaining dragons crawled around Spike and started to fall asleep too, and Spike just chuckled in a happy way seeing how cute it was. Hiccup was still surprised with what he's seeing, but after all of this, he's realized something important. Everything we know about you guys is wrong. Hiccup told himself as he petted the little dragon as it slept peacefully. Even if there's much left to do, they took in this moment and just tried to relax, taking in the beautiful sunset together as night began to fall and break once again. If you guys are enjoying this story, please give it a like, comment your thoughts.